This is TWiT.
What is happening over the last few months, and this week particularly, is that the big tech companies people are kind of turning, their tide seems to be turning against them. The other big story this week is that 46 states plus Guam and Washington, D.C. have joined the Federal Trade Commission in suing Facebook for illegal monopolization. And, boy, when you get 46 out of 50 states coming down your throat, and Guam.
Don't forget
Today,
Guam.
the Federal Trade Commission authorized a complaint.
Oh, I'm sorry. This autoplay. You know, Ian, you got to learn about autoplay on the website. This is the FTC.
Guam punches above their weight.
Yeah, clearly. I've been reading. I downloaded the 124-page filing, and it's very thoughtful, very well written. Obviously, in the research for this, they had a lot of emails. In fact, they had a lot of internal information because some of it's redacted in the public release. It is a very, I think, somewhat damning history of Facebook's, exactly as they have been accused by others, anti-competitive acquisition of Instagram and then later WhatsApp. There's smoking guns galore. I mean, there's emails from Mark Zuckerberg saying, yeah, we want to get them before they get too big and threaten us. And he even said, and this is exactly what antitrust law is supposed to prevent, by buying this company, not only we take a competitor out, but we gain enough scale and we gain enough technology that no one else can compete with us down the road. It's like you wrote your own indictment. This is
the only thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that all the smoking guns and what Facebook said about Instagram and WhatsApp, first they have to prove that Facebook is a monopoly. So it's not illegal to buy companies, or even if they're
they addressed that. In fact, they addressed that even before they talk about the smoking gun, to say that what the space Facebook is in is essentially without competition.
But I don't see how, that's an arguable point. Is TikTok not competition? Are they ruling out?
Is Twitter not competition? We had the Axios story last week that showed everything. Every site now has the same features.
Yeah.
As far as I can understand, they're arguing that Facebook, its market consists solely of talking to your friends. So then TikTok doesn't apply because it's not you talking to your friends.
They call it a personal social networking service. And they do, in fact, specifically say why it's not the same as Twitter. It's not the same as messenger applications of any kind.
Well, Facebook's lawyers will have a few things to say about that. This is what Benedict Evans talks about all the time about Facebook, about Amazon, and so on, is it's all about definition of market. Matthew's exactly right. You have to start with what the market is before you can say you're a monopolist in it, before you can then say that you abused your monopoly.
It's not just that, though. If you look at Instagram, I remember when they bought Instagram, and Instagram was fun, but had, no revenues of any kind. And I don't know, did it have 1 million users even?
No, probably not.
So,
it was growing very fast.
I was going to say,
so
it was
even
growing,
if
but it was a nice clip.
had looked at it, even if you'd looked at it, you would have thought, this is ridiculous. It's a tiny little photo sharing thing. Now it looks, because they've, connected it to Facebook. But at the time, I think it would have been difficult to make the case that it would be anti-competitive.
I agree, Matthew.
So I'll give you a couple of quotes. There's early on in the pleading, there is a long section talking about why they consider Facebook to be unique in personal social networking and that there is no competition. And they say they have something like 78% of the market. Personal social networking services, they write, are distinct from and not reasonably interchangeable with specialized social networking services like those that focus on professional, LinkedIn, or interest-based Strava connections. Specialized networks are designed for and used primarily for sharing a narrow and highly specialized category of content. They're distinct from and not reasonably interchangeable with online video or audio consumption-focused services like YouTube, Spotify, Netflix, and Hulu. They probably wrote this before TikTok was a big player. They say mobile messaging services do not feature a shared social space in which users can interact. I mean, they clearly know that they have to prove this. and they spend a lot of time.
And Facebook's lawyers are going to have much to say about this.
That's what it's going to hinge on.
They quote Mark Zuckerberg from his 2019 post calling personal social networking providers like Facebook the digital equivalent of a town square, contrasted with the private communication offering by services like WhatsApp, which are the digital equivalent of the living room. So even Zuckerberg makes that distinction. I'm sure the Facebook's defense is, oh no, we're just, we're part of a much larger internet ecosystem. But I think you can really make the argument that Facebook has moved at every point to consolidate, because of the network effect, which they address, because of Facebook's gathering of data, which they describe. They say Facebook has a substantial competitive advantage with respect to data because of its ability to align Facebook user identity across the family of apps it has acquired, Instagram, WhatsApp, and others, and with users off Facebook data, the like button. The volume, velocity, and variety of Facebook's user data give it an unprecedented, virtually 360-degree view of the user and her contacts, interests, preferences, and activities, which allows Facebook to personalize content to its users that other platforms are not able to provide. They also say that they have a significant advantage in the ability to monetize the service because of networking barriers in personal social networking services market make putative competitors unlikely to be able to match Facebook's access to users' time and attention, which in turn determines the volume of inventory for ads they can sell to advertisers.
So it seems to me one question they're going to have to answer is, why then did these acquisitions go ahead? Why did the FTC and antitrust not say something at the time? Because now
it's a little late.
You're going back years to reverse an acquisition. If like the message that sends to companies that are going to acquire things is at any point in the future, if you build that thing up to be something great, we can force you to sell it.
Here's another smoking gun. There was a company, I didn't remember this, called Octazen. Octazen was a connector that would take contact information, format it, and then allow you to suck it up. In July 2009, head of international growth Javier Olivan learned that Twitter was also licensing Octazen's services. He emailed two other executives to suggest that as valuable as licensing was proving to be, owning them would be even better. Complete control of Octazen would enable Facebook to deprive rivals and potential rivals of this important resource. Would it make sense to try to buy these guys? By doing so, we would keep in-house the expertise of building and maintaining improved importers and let everyone else in the industry without a provider for contact importer libraries. So they bought the company.
Just like Twitter bought TweetDeck right off from underneath the hands of a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who had a deal too.
Right.
I put up the, right below the stories on line 40-something, I put up that Axios chart again, which is worth looking at. Because it shows how line 42.
I see it. I got it.
Right? It shows how by feature, it's not a monopoly. Everybody's doing it, everybody else is doing.
Yeah, but
by
no
audience,
nobody would say that the experience of Facebook is anything like the experience on any of these other ones.
Well, it depends on how you use it.
Right.
If you love stories on Facebook, it's like Snapchat, and it's like everybody.
Yeah.
There are people that use Pinterest quite heavily, and it's like another messaging and communication platform, even though...
Yeah.
Do you go to Pinterest, though, to see what the grandkids are up to, or to...
Some people do.
Pardon?
Some people do.
I think actually a stronger part of the case is their arguments about the API. It's not as sexy as the acquisition part, but I think they have a lot more ammunition to say force Facebook to allow more access to APIs or to be more transparent about the APIs and quit cutting off smaller competitors.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish.
And where does
both
that put
Twitter
the
and
other
Facebook
networks out there? Where does that put Twitter with its API?
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me. Because there was a lot of fuss and kerfuffle over the Twitter API many years ago regarding things like TweetDeck.
They have been opening up more. So I think they realized at some point that was a mistake. They nuked the entire developer community, and it took years to sort of. I mean, there's still developers that I assume
underwater
never work with them. Yeah.
Well, what helps not kill this complaint, but it has a big impact on it at the exact same time it comes out is the story on line 77. You there?
TikTok beats Facebook.
Yeah. TikTok beats
is,
Facebook to become the top app worldwide by downloads. But it's not even close in monthly or daily active users.
No. But the point is, this is early days, and friend feed is going to own everything.
Well, but that's the point. Is Facebook put friend feed out of business, put Friendster out of business, put MySpace out of business. There's a whole section on what happened to Google Plus. Are
they blaming Facebook for Google Plus?
I mean, Google put Google Plus out of business.
Yeah, but they're also saying that Google Plus couldn't compete with Facebook, and Facebook was very worried about Google Plus, and that was an example of something they couldn't acquire.
Were they?
Well, they have they have a lot of emails.
Okay.
Calling Mike Elgin.
They have a lot. Were they? Maybe not. I don't know. They have a lot of emails.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question. There's no question Facebook is a massive, massive company, and it's got a huge amount of power, especially the algorithm and its ad business. The problem is going to be proving that is illegal, or that they've done something.
That's why this is going to go for years.
Years.
But on the other hand, what I am encouraged by this doesn't look like a political hatchet job by any means. This isn't because Facebook decided to fact check the president's posts or anything like that.
How do you tell these days?
Right.
But go ahead.
Well, there's a little, there is actually a little bit of that in the complaint, but this is 46 states. This is not just the red states. This is a lot of people